and I'm scrolling through Twitter, and I see these photos of a pre-wedding. And I want to be really, really clear here. Obviously, from what I just said, I have no issue with the interracial relationship. Do what you want, love who you love, the whole bit. But it's a pre-wedding of an interracial couple, a black man and a white woman. The name is redacted. The name is grayed out, so you can't see the username. So I'm not able to double check this, but this looks accurate. And here is the text. We're going to retweet it now. It says 1842. Wow. Days passed and everything changed. Our love got stronger and stronger. He was no longer a slave. He was part of the family. Part two, pre wedding session. Then there are these images of this man in chains and this woman in some kind of antebellum bonnet situation. They're in a field, and then she's unlocking his chains, and then he's on his knees kissing her hands. One, if this is real, this is disturbing. Even if it's not real, I don't know what anybody was thinking doing this. It's trending on social media. Who in their right mind would think this is okay? Amisha, your thoughts?
So part of me, and I saw it start trending yesterday, part of me wants to believe that this is some type of very odd and inappropriate parody. But knowing what I know about America, this could very much be a real couple out there who thought that it would be cool to have a plantation type, not only in clothes, but also in the setting in and of itself. Black man, white woman, supposed to be post slavery ending love story. It's offensive. It's inappropriate. I don't know who the photographer is or who decided this was the thing that they wanted to shoot. If this is actually a legitimate, real couple, please end it now. That black man is beyond the sunken place at this point. But I think that this goes to show again, because things like this keep popping up. In this era that we're
Yeah.
supposed to be in a so-called racial reckoning, we keep seeing how people believe that interracial relationships are the things that can help to end racial injustice. We even heard that to a certain extent from President Biden when he consistently brings up, even though it is highly offensive, that seeing more interracial relationships in commercials is somehow a sign that we're
On a
moving
Geico
forward.
commercial.
It's not. And I think
Right.
that this most recent example that you just brought up is such a disgusting piece of, just try. I don't know. Again, can't tell whether it's a parody or if this is an actual couple, but either way, it's just plain wrong. And the fact that it's trending shows that it struck a chord with a lot of Black people who know in real life, Black men and Black women who are in interracial relationships who respond like this to a lot of the turmoil that's going on across this country. And I think that that's why people are upset.
Yeah, and it's interesting. And again, I don't want to say the majority of interracial couples are like this. I don't want to say that at all. But it's interesting as far as what we see in media. I think about the NFL player Charles Leno Jr. If y'all remember this, he proposed to his fiancee on the football field on national television. And then all of these disgusting, this was in 2019, all these disgustingly 2018 actually, these horrible racist tweets resurfaced of her just saying disgusting things, using the n-word, uh just things I don't even want to repeat. And it was all over social media. She was mocking dark-skinned Black men. She was calling Black people ghetto. Correction, I don't know if she used the n-word or not. It's just correction, but it was, you could still make racist tweets and not use the n-word. She was saying how Black guys treat white girls on campus. And I just wonder, wouldn't that be a deal breaker for you? And
It
I
should
mean,
be, but there are way too many. there are way too many black men, and this is coming from, I dated interracially myself. I don't have nothing against interracial dating. I do think that you
Right.
need to really investigate who you're dating before you invest your time in them, regardless of what color they are or what background they come from. But I think that in cases like the one you just mentioned, which also brings to my mind the Rachel Kirkconnell issue that the Bachelor had this past season, first Black
Right.
Bachelor, walks off with white woman who turns out to have said multiple racist comments, also made fun of Black people's skin tones, and threw, out very racist comments about Black men in the past, which were also discovered on social media. So when you see people like this, and this is a part of your character, there's a question that we have to these, and in both cases they were Black men, to these Black men about the choices that they are deciding to make. Is there an elite thing that they think they are entering because now they have a frontal position, or because they got signed to a multi-million dollar contract that now they have to choose somebody who is Caucasian to be on their arm? And if that is the case, I think, there's something wrong in your psyche. But if that is the case, at least choose someone who is not a stone cold racist. Choose someone
Mm.
who is not out here tweeting, posting all over social media things that are negative about the Black community and things that are negative about Black men. I just feel like black people need to do better, because these people exist, and they exist not in their own echo chamber. They're absolutely fine being racist all over social media where anybody and everybody can see. That tells you something about their character. That also tells you that your relationship isn't about love or anything else. They're here for whatever coin they think you have right now, and they will ride this thing on out.
You know who I also think of? Michelle Williams of Destiny's Child. She was in a relationship. I want to say she was engaged at one point to
She
that
was.
pastor, and they did that show, Chad Loves Michelle. And he was saying some really bizarre comments to her that I don't see race, I don't see color, the whole black, white, green, yellow people. Mind you, there are no green people. He was saying it doesn't matter. And she was trying to, his name was Chad Johnson. She was trying to communicate to him that there are certain things you may not be able to understand. And they eventually broke up. I mean, what, thank God she didn't marry him. But something like that. Like, I'm like, wow, wow. And I love Michelle Williams, and she's great, and she was emotional talking about it. But my gosh, if you are going to, well, I guess it's not on the responsibility. If you're going to be in an interracial relationship, I would just think you're going to have to do some work. You're going to have to do some work. And if you're going to be the black partner dating a white person, and that white person isn't doing that work, that's really scary. And I think for the pro slavery wedding photos or whatever, I'm disgusted by the white woman, but I'm more so disgusted by the black man who would be okay putting fake chains on his wrists and in a field. What is going on?
there's
It's
a there's
just
a what were you thinking? Is this just something to trend? Because it could just be them setting up something salacious just to get people talking. But there are 5,000 other things you could do other than that. And to your point, Clay, I think that there are several people who are very good at hiding who they are in relationships. We know that, even if you're dating people who look the exact same as you. But again, as somebody who has dated interracially, I will say that for the most part, it has gone well. But I did date one guy who, although he was very caring and everything towards me, he would make unsavory comments about black men. He would also make some unsavory comments about black women, who he felt were overweight, or in his case were loud. But then he would say, you're not those people. You're not fat. You're not this, that, the other thing. You're actually educated. You're not, hood. All these things. And it's just like, this isn't gonna work, because at the end of the day, you're still being offensive. Even if you try to uplift me as excluded from this group, you're still a problem. And I think that we have to reach a point where it's almost like, when people make those comments about you being the whitest black friend they have, that
right,
there
right,
is no
right.
such thing. First and foremost, that's offensive as hell. Secondly, at the end of the day, we should never separate ourselves from the rest of black people. I have cousins, aunts, relatives who are on the south side, on the west side of Chicago, people who are educated, people who did not make it past middle school. And at the end of the day, these are all my people. And I say that not only for the people that I'm blood related to, but also for those who I have fought in the trenches for, who I don't know personally. Because I don't see myself as somebody who is different from other people who look like me. And I think that at the end of the day, we have to push back against this narrative that says that all Black people are a certain thing, or that there is a certain
Mhm.
expectation of ill behavior amongst Black people that a lot of white people, men and women, actually hold. And when we don't do that, especially in these interracial relationships, the problem falls on us as well. Because I do think there's a certain burden on the person of color that is in that relationship, not to be the teacher necessarily, but definitely to call out when there are things that are said or things that are done against the background of the person, a part of the person of who you are. I saw the Michelle Williams episodes. I thought that that guy was absolutely outside of his mind, but I also questioned how she could be in a relationship with that man for as long as she was without knowing that he had a few screws loose
Mm.
when it came to race.
They were engaged. Yeah. I'm curious to know if y'all are in an interracial relationship or dating, is racism a deal breaker? Is if it's not, I just want to know why it's not. 866-801-8255. And then the audacity, Amisha, that they put these photos reportedly, allegedly, on Instagram. They were so not even like frame it in their house and living in their little, ebony and ivory bubble. They put it on Instagram.
It's bizarre. I mean, in this era where you have people moving towards getting rid of, the plantation weddings that have been happening for generations, and God knows why they still go on. You have this push to end those, and then you have this seeming couple, possibly, who knows? It could just be a parody. Either way, it is on social media now. It is a talk of all of Twitter. It is hashtagged everywhere. They're getting the country talking. But I think by and large, to some of the examples that you listed earlier, there is a deep problem when we're seeing these individuals. Again, nothing against interracial relationships or interracial marriage at all, but when you're seeing people who have decided that they are going to couple with folks who have racist beliefs, who said racist things in the past, who oftentimes have said equally racist things in the present, and still perpetuate this and seemingly be ultra fine in these types of relationships. That's different.
Yeah. And listen, let's also be clear. Just because you are somebody is dating another black person does not mean they're woke. Look at Ben Carson. You know what I'm saying? Look at Ben Carson and Candy Car. I want to be really, really clear. Just because you are not in an interracial relationship does not mean that you got it all figured out. So to make sure no one, I don't think either one of us are saying that you're somehow lost if you're dating somebody outside of your race. I'm just pointing out this and the audacity to put it on social media and the audacity for Michelle Williams' ex to say that on a own show, a network that's owned by Oprah. this, it's just wow. But this is where we are. People feel very, very comfortable. So I had to make sure y'all were aware of that because it kind of blew my mind. And it's trending. And listen, we all just got to be smarter on how just love who you love, but don't love, I don't know, just love who you love, but love smart. Love smart. Love smart.
That should be a
Mm-hmm.
t-shirt.
Love smart. No. What are those shirts you see? No racism, no this, no sex. If your partner is in the plantation weddings, if your partner thinks there's green people, if your partner thinks that women ain't shit and ain't ever gonna be shit, they probably ain't the best partner for you. And vice versa. Now I do want to say this though, that I believe the stat is nonetheless, I think over 85%
Yeah.
of black women date black men, over 82% of black men date black men. So it isn't, these celebrities and pop stars might be different, but for the most of us, we are dating, most cultures, black or white, date other people within their culture. So I don't want to overstate the interracial issue. I know it appears that way, but I know everybody points out Tiki Barber and I don't know, child. Who's the other ones that the other ones. But for all of those, we got LeBron James, Dwayne Wade. There's still plenty more who aren't doing that. So I don't want to feed into that. But yeah, it's just go ahead, Amisha. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to add that it's a very small piece of the pie in terms of black men or black women who actually date or marry outside of their race. And that goes to, speaking to a larger point about society in general. Most people of any racial group or background tend to date and marry people in that same racial group and background. But I think that when we look into the celebrity culture of things, it tends to look a little bit different depending on the celebrity highlighted. Even in the NFL, over 87% of NFL athletes who are currently signed and playing are dating people who look just like them or have kids with people who look just like them. So we don't want to overstate the numbers here. But to the caller's point, I do think that there is something very amiss and awry when we see a culture that has consistently placed white manhood above everything else, and in so doing has also raised a level of elite to white women that has not been given to any other race or background of woman in this country. And once that's done and it's seen as this shiny prize to have a Caucasian woman, next to you, or in this case, I think in the 2020 plus iteration of things, something seen as exotic because, that came in with the era of the Kardashians rising to fame. Now everybody thinks that, having something that's not American, that be it whether it's African American or whatever, is the thing to do. I think that we see that with a lot of our young males, young black males specifically, in their preferences, whether that is based on colorism, which runs very rampant in the black community, or whether it's an idea that once I get a few dollars, then I can either go lighter or go to another race in general because I'm going to be more accepted, or because when you look like money, when you have a woman next to you that they feel helps them to look like more money. And for them, that means not somebody who is black. I do think that there is something in the psyche and something in the water where that does happen to be the case for the ultra wealthy among the black population, specifically men, and that's something that men have to come to grips with and converse with each other about why once you reach a certain level, something that looked like your mom is no longer attractive to you, something that looks like the women who you grew up with is no longer attractive to you. That's an issue in and of itself, and one that black women have talked about for a very long time. But again, I don't want to overstate the fact that the majority of black people end up dating, marrying, having children with other black people.
Amisha, let me ask you this. This is a question I could totally be wrong. Love to know your thoughts on this. I feel like what I've seen in media, again, could be wrong. I feel like when prominent black women end up with a white man, I feel like they get really hit hard. Could be wrong, could be wrong. But when I think of the disgusting comments I've seen from people about Serena Williams, who is a proud black woman who's dated black men before, but when I forgot the guy's name, when she married him, there was a lot of ugliness going her way. I can recall even back in the day, the day, my father arguing about Tina Turner. Never didn't marry until later. These are old school debates about Tina Turner and Diana Ross, and they're with these. And mind you, Tina was with a black man for a long time who, that obviously wasn't a healthy relationship. But I feel like, and there's a few more of prominent black women who partner with white men, and I feel like they get a lot more heat than black men who do it in celebrity culture. Am I wrong?
No, that is absolutely
Okay.
correct, and it's a frustration because as a black woman, we know that the statistic numbers when it comes to marriage rates for black women are pretty low, especially during what we would consider the average marital years. I'm not talking about later in life, whatever. And with that being said, of the marriageable men that folks would consider, people who have their, I'm not going to say six-figure men. I'm not one of those folks who goes on YouTube and telling people who they should date and who they shouldn't date. But I do think being economically stable matters. Somebody who doesn't have up-teen baby mamas out here in these streets. Somebody who, has a certain level of temperament. When it comes to those things, and I say that just because we know that the levels of violence against women, particularly domestic violence, are so much higher in the black community, specifically against black women. These are things that we have to take into consideration. And for black women like Serena Williams, like Jodie Turner-Smith from Queen and Slim, people
Oh
who
my
have
gosh, the
married
stuff
white
about
men
her.
and have taken so
Jesus.
many L's in the black community, specifically attacks from black men, it's problematic because the majority of these women have a long history of dating black men. Many
Yeah,
of them have
yeah.
long history of dating black men who did them wrong, black men who didn't want to have long-term relationships, weren't interested in marriage, weren't interested in children. I don't know how you respond to that when you're on a trajectory and you want certain things and the guys you're dating don't want those same things. The expectation should be that you roll off to somebody who can make those things happen for you. I think that's how relationships are supposed to work. But it does not, the criticism doesn't fall the same way on black men as it does black women. It is accepted, or it is okay. Your boys give you, big ups and hand claps and all
Mm.
types of things when you date and marry, have kids outside of your race. They talk about how glorious your kids look, this, that, and other thing. How beautiful your wife is. All of this is seen as this elite thing. But for black women who marry outside of their race, which is a lower number than black men, by the way. At the end of the day, that's seen as you have totally turned your back on your people. Even though black women are the people who are leading the movements, black women are the people who are developing the communities, black women are the people who have the largest number of small businesses. None of that takes, who you're with does not take away those facts about black females and our role in the black community. However, even though black women are ride or die no matter what for black men tend to be done with you when you marry somebody outside of your race as a black woman in general.
Mm.
They will never let Serena Williams die at this point. Like they are still pressing on this, tweeting about it. She's been married for years now, has kids, like kids walking, talking, playing tennis, and they're still talking about this as though it was the ultimate betrayal in life.
I remember when I saw Tamara, what's her name? Tamara Mowry, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
When she said that she was called on social media the white man's whore. I said, "Oh my God, let
And
the
in her case,
sister
it's even
live."
more strange because both the Mowry sisters are biracial. Like their
Yeah,
actual
yeah,
dad is white.
yeah. The
So
father's white. I said, "Damn, let the sister live." See, again, now if she was doing a plantation themed wedding, I would never call woman a whore. But if she was doing something like that, I could see critiques coming her way. But I mean, my God, it's just, yeah, it's unfortunate. We gotta let people now. When you put your business out there and do a plantation themed wedding, or you propose to your girlfriend on a football field, then racist tweets surface. There's gonna be some commentary about it, but yeah, we got to let people live and live their life. And I never forget, I heard Whoopi Goldberg say one time, and I'm paraphrasing here, but she said something like, people attack me because I've dated white men. And she said, but I still have my original nose and I never cut my hair.
okay. Out of the 30 some plus, kids that Eddie Murphy has out here, half of those children don't have black moms. So we gotta say.